Today we're driving the all-new Chevrolet Blazer EV. This is the all-wheel drive RS. It costs around $60,000, and you can qualify for a $7,500 tax credit. This will do 279 miles on a full charge, and it makes 288 horsepower, 333 pound-feet of torque. So a decent amount of power, decent amount of range. Interestingly, the rear-wheel drive Blazer EV RS is more powerful than this, even though it has one single motor in the rear, and of course it gets over 300 miles of range. So excited to test that out at some point. Pricing on this is surprisingly close to the Cadillac Lyriq that we drove not too long ago. And I will say, although this new interior in this Blazer is very nice, that Lyriq did feel a little bit nicer, a little bit more upscale for not much more money. So anyway, let's walk you guys around this new Blazer EV, talk about what it's been like to live with this week, and we'll take you through some of the new infotainment, the new controls, show you the outside, give you some driving impressions. You guys know the deal. So the big news here is there's no CarPlay or Android Auto. We just have this Google built-in system, which admittedly has kind of surprised me this week. It's actually a pretty good integration. You get Google Maps as your native navigation. You can sign into your Google account, connect stuff, scan a little QR code with your phone, and you're ready to go. You even get Waze, which is very nice. Granted, the navigation apps in the screen are incredibly bright until you get into nighttime mode, but I think there should be a way to maybe change that within your account. Not entirely sure. You can't go in and adjust that in the settings here. The rest of the infotainment, even though it's not super responsive, it's quick enough, and it seems to be organized pretty well. You've got a few quick access buttons over here to the left. You can control your head-up display settings, turn on your dome light. You have headlight controls right here in a screen. You can turn off the vehicle right there, or you can just get out and leave, and that turns it off. There's a vehicle timer, one-pedal driving. You can control the level of that one-pedal driving, turn it off, normal, high. We'll show you guys that on the road here in a little bit. Down here, you've got some physical climate controls for fan speed, on and off, temperature. And here's your volume control right here. Nice to see that as a physical button, even though it is just kind of this thing stuck onto the screen, much like we've seen in the Mustang Mach-E and a few Lexus models. But overall, I'm okay with this infotainment not having CarPlay. I think some drivers, some buyers, that's going to be a deal breaker for them. They want the familiarity of having CarPlay and Android Auto and all that set up. I'm a little bit torn on it. I think it's kind of silly that GM got rid of it, honestly. That could be a move that comes back to bite them. Let's look at the rest of this interior, though. We've got some nice surfacing, especially on these seats. This RS model has lots of red and blue stitching throughout it, like the seat piping down here. Nice kind of suede-like material down here. A lot of the plastics, they're all kind of typical GM plastics in here. No major surprises. A little bit harder, a little bit scratchier. And the degassing smell in this new car isn't the most pleasant scent. This has 4,800 miles on it, and it's just a little bit stinky in here, unfortunately. That'll fade after a few more months, but it's just something that I've noticed. I've always been wanting to kind of air out this cabin when I get into this Blazer EV. You've got this huge storage compartment down here that is very, very deep with 2 USB-C ports, and then this other storage in front of that where you kind of throw things. 2 cup holders or water bottle holders, and then wireless charging right here. And then another very low, deep storage compartment right here. Not completely convinced on the storage solutions here. I feel like you're just going to be losing items really deeply in here. I guess it's nice for a big water bottle or something. But yeah, not the best integration of storage solutions, though. Honestly, I've mostly just been putting things on top of this cover, and this is pretty solid, which is nice. No sunroof. We've got great big honking visors. What are we doing still in the car? Let's go walk you guys around. Let's show you what it looks like. Super easy to get in and out of. Ingress and egress is fantastic. And on the outside, I actually think this is a pretty good looking SUV. It's just about the same size as the regular internal combustion engine Blazer, but it's low, it's wide, sharing the Ultium platform with a few other models. We have a 85 kilowatt hour battery pack that can charge at a max charge rate of 150 kilowatts. it's a good looking electric crossover. Here's your charge port. Press this button and it pops up. Or pops down, I guess. There you go. Enormous wheels. 275 45R21s. Yeah, really, really big. Bridgestone, Alenza, and Lighten tires. Cool looking wheel design too, with these arrow fins in here. Yeah, I really like the proportions of this new Blazer EV. I think it just looks fantastic. I've been seeing quite a few of these on the road recently in the Metro Detroit area, and it's got some clever design language. When you unlock the vehicle, the taillights do a nice little dance, and also when you're charging, it'll kind of show you this charge meter in the lights as you walk up to it, and it senses the key. Of course, Murphy's Law, it's not doing any of that right now. I think because the vehicle is on. Let's see, let's turn the vehicle off here. All right, there we go. It's gonna do its little dance. There you go, you can see the taillights doing their thing. Let's show you trunk space. A lot of room back here. Nice low load floor. A little bit of storage. You can hide some things down there. Of course, no spare tire, though you do get a fix and flat kit probably under some of this stuff. And here's your charge cable. The rear seats fold down like that, and you've got a reasonable flat load surface. Not as much height as you would see in some SUVs, but still a decent amount of storage back here. I like having a power tailgate. Proximity key on all four doors. And the seats resume back to their former reclined position. There's your armrest, cup holders, really flat floor back here, and just a ton of room. The interior packaging in this Blazer EV is fantastic. It really does feel like a nice, open, big, and spacious cabin. Attractive design, just slightly cheaper feeling plastics with all of your touch points, but nothing really too different from what we've seen with GM recently. Lots of headroom too. Good 3.5 inches there. Heated rear seats. I actually haven't really bothered to pop the front here. I don't know if this has a front trunk or not. We're going to find out together. I don't think it does. It doesn't look very convincing. Just a big plastic panel. Kind of strange to me that some of these ground-up EVs don't have front trunks, but I guess who really uses them? I don't know if they're as useful as people actually make them out to be. If you've got enough cargo space in the back and just a big interior, I'm okay with not having a front trunk. All right, let's hop inside and go for a drive. I don't think we really need to walk you guys around this too much more. To start it up, you just hop in, put your seatbelt on, and set off. I love this column shifter here, super easy to use. Pull back and down for drive, or up for reverse. And you've got a few different reverse cameras here. Standard works just fine. You can hear, if you're listening to this with headphones or at higher volume, there's a bit of a hum when you're idling through at parking lot speeds. It turns off when you go into park, but it's always just kind of humming in the background. It's a bit ethereal sounding. And of course, once you get going, you can hear some EV sounds. We have one pedal driving set to the normal mode, and I've really liked using that system this week. It's really well calibrated, nicely tuned. The high one pedal drive mode is a bit too aggressive, but still, we'll show that to you on this drive today. And then with it off, we'll give you guys some thoughts on what the brake pedal feels like. So, as an EV, this drives just about like every other EV out there. Not too much difference. The one-pedal driving, like I said, is very well calibrated. It comes to a stop really smoothly, which is nice. You barely feel that coast to 0 miles per hour. I like the accessibility of everything. Everything's within reach here. You can turn on and off your lane keep assist. Your parking brake is there. Your gauge cluster brightness at night is really easily accessible. You've got your steering wheel controls, which are all pretty typical GM. Heated steering wheel right here. A few different gauge clusters. You can see this kind of efficiency gauge. Go into Google Maps. And I kind of prefer this minimalist display right here. Pretty quiet driving experience. Not a lot of wind noise, road noise. And we'll do a short acceleration test here too. It's definitely quick enough. Don't be fooled by the only 288 horsepower for this 5,300 pound, 5,400 pound SUV. It gets up and goes. Only 90 of that horsepower is going to the rear axle, so it is a front drive biased dual motor setup. Handling is awesome, really good mechanical grip. These 21-inch tires are doing their job. Nice and flat around a corner. Doesn't feel as fast at highway speeds, but it's definitely quick enough to get out of its own way. Again, if you're going to want the more powerful Blazer EV, you're going to want to go with the rear-wheel drive model. I might be mistaken, but I believe every Blazer EV RS comes with this convenience and driver confidence package, which includes adaptive cruise control and heated rear seats and the head-up display and pretty much a lot of the options that you would want in this. It's $2,620 and it's probably worth it to get, unless I don't even know if you really have a choice, but that bumps this price up to a little over $60,000 as tested with destination and everything. And that's the only option that's on this car, but again, I think it's kind of a mandatory thing that just comes with every Blazer RS. Alright, let's test the brakes here. Pedal is nice and firm. A little bit of a combination of regen and pad-on rotor there, but one of the better EV brake pedals that I've used. If you want to just use this without the one-pedal drive system, you can do so, and it feels like a normal car. I don't think you really need much more power out of your daily driven electric vehicle appliance. I have good visibility all the way around. These mirrors are a little bit tiny, probably for aerodynamics purposes. And this car does a really good job of masking its weight. Again, over 5,000 pound curb weight here. It's pretty hefty. I'll put the exact number in the description, but this is a hefty brute. But it handles, accelerates, stops really, really well for its weight. Seats are comfortable. Sound system. Sound system leaves a lot to be desired, which is kind of a disappointment, kind of a bummer. I was hoping for something better at this price point. Let's do a quick sound system test and show you guys what that's like. So we have to go into music, and I'm trying to get to my phone music, and I don't know if I can. Here we go. Playlists, sound system test. Gotcha. We've got a volume control on the back of the steering wheel. You can see the volume rising up there. But the sound system here is just really, really flat. There's not a lot of clarity. There's no bass to anything. It's been kind of disappointing this week. We'll let you guys have a listen. It's, and then there's a mute button at the top of the screen right here, which is kind of hidden. I've been driving this mostly at night. I didn't really notice it until today. It's decent when you raise the volume up and crank it up a bit, but at lower volumes, it's really hard to hear your music, even though this car is really quiet at speed. So right now we've got adaptive cruise control enabled. You can change your following distance right down here with this gap adjust. And yes, this is actually adaptive cruise control working today. We have our lane centering down here, which seems to be working pretty well. It would be nice to get some type of super cruise in an EV like this. But you can see just how close you can get to vehicles in front of you with the closest following distance, and then you can kind of dial it back from there. You have one of 3 following distance settings. So you can actually get pretty close. We're going to pass this vehicle here and see how it does navigating around. It's been really nice having Google Maps as the native navigation system in this Blazer EV. I think the integration is just awesome. You can tell it where you want to go. You can give voice instructions, and overall, this Android-based infotainment is really well executed, I think. I wouldn't mind a little bit more responsiveness out of it, but so far this week it hasn't been buggy. It just would be nice to have the option to connect to CarPlay or Android Auto if that is what you're familiar with and that is what you prefer. So I know there's a lot of people are just going out and buying newer cars these days so they can get that CarPlay integration into their vehicles, and this not having that could be a problem for some drivers. For me, it's not a deal breaker. It's not a huge deal. I haven't really missed it this week, but again, it's something you kind of want to live with and see before you're making that decision. And you're gonna have to kind of go on a leap of faith if you're a new buyer. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it. Maybe less distraction. I don't know. A little bit of safe understeer at the limit, but I am really impressed with the way this handles. It's one of the better handling new EVs that I've driven recently. The only major complaint that I have is that the navigation apps in their daytime modes are just way too bright, and there's so much screen here, it's kind of distracting. And same with driving at night. I mean, you can dim everything pretty low, but then you just kind of lose contrast and visibility with everything. So it's not the best dimmer system. At the end of the day, it's just a whole lot of screen kind of assaulting your eyeballs, but you can configure it in a few different ways. You can have your navigation in the center display here, which actually might be a pretty smart move. But again, super bright, super white. It would be nice if you could just kind of tone that down or set it to a night setting, which I haven't been able to find in the menus. Over some bumps, some potholes. How do these 21-inch wheels transmit noise, vibration, and harshness? It feels pretty good. There's still a decent amount of sidewall from these tires. You do get a button to the left of the steering wheel that gives you max regen. That's nice. Let's try this out with regen set to high. Letting off the accelerator pedal, and we're slowing down quite a bit, pretty fast. Nice. Probably a little bit too lurchy for most people, if I'm being honest. We'll put it back in normal. All right, so let's hop out, walk you guys around this one more time, and give you guys some final thoughts on the Chevrolet Blazer EV. I think overall, this is a pretty nice EV option in the market. It drives well, it's comfortable, it's spacious. The pricing, again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, is so close to the Cadillac Lyriq, and I did find that to be a much nicer vehicle to be in, to drive, to spend time with, to live with. And for just a little bit more money, if you qualify for the tax credit, that might actually be the better buy here. There's also the Honda Prologue, the Acura ZDX, all based on this Ultium platform. And I'm curious to see how those options drive as well. This Blazer EV RS definitely feels very General Motors. And at some point, there's going to be a Blazer SS, which is going to have 500 horsepower, which will be pretty cool to test as well. So as it stands right now, not too many major complaints about this. I think it looks good, it drives well, it's an easy EV to live with on a daily basis. It's kind of expensive, but with the tax credits factored in, that makes it a little bit more reasonable. I am curious to drive the single motor rear-wheel drive Blazer RS with a little over 300 miles of range and more horsepower. I think that might kind of be the ticket, honestly. And then at some point, the Blazer SS. So stay tuned for those videos as they come out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll drive this around just a little bit more, give you guys some driving footage without me talking, and hopefully that'll give you guys an idea of what this is like to live with and experience behind the wheel. It is kind of strange not to have a stop-start button in a vehicle, but it's also kind of nice. You just get in and set off. Everything fires up really quickly too. We meant to get one of these a long time ago, but there was a stop sale supposedly for software issues, and our loan got canceled. Everything seems to have worked pretty well this week. No bugs in the time that I've had it. Big bump here to test out suspension. Suspension is definitely on the firmer side. It's not too floaty, not too soft, but again, that translates to really good handling here.